10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining.
Bounty Hunter. Dusk. The Undying wakes.
Radiant team pick.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 2 in this best of 3 series, the semi-finals of the ESL One Southeast Asian Qualifiers. My name is Dragon Drop. I'm joined by Blaze, and this is Mineski versus Fnatic. So, Blaze, this draft, what do you think about it?
Well, we're seeing a similar opening to Fnatic, but we've seen that they are quite flexible with it. The interesting thing is now Mineski are still looking to run with this Bounty Hunter, but I think they've learned a pretty valuable lesson about it. They can't actually run an aggressive dual lane or even an aggressive pseudo-tri lane with the composition that they're up against, because the Undying is perfectly willing to rotate. Ohio was perfect in his participation in the safe lane and actually TPing to the mid lane to contribute there as well. Like the fact that Fnatic are showing that Undying can be a mobile support despite what everything up to this point has told us, it means that Mineski have to really reconsider how they use this composition. I think they're going to go for a more toned down core hero, and they're going to play a lot more defensively rather than extending themselves in the way that they did. Also, probably warding is going to be very different because they know what they're up against here with this Tusk and this Undying, and they know what didn't work for them last game, in the early game in particular.
It's on them to adapt to this playstyle of Fnatic, which was a very solid playstyle as well. They made all the right decisions for the most part, and also when they had the Aegis on Black, for instance, you pointed that out, how well they played there. Just keep them in front lines with low health, low mana, dare Mineski to go in, pick him off, then take a fight after, but just putting Mineski in a rough spot, and Fnatic with the Tusk and Undying, they already have the makings of a draft that can do exactly that. Mineski, yeah, they have their faith in the Bounty Hunter still, but they're going to have to draft a little bit of a different lineup around them. Really taking the time to think about it. It's going to be a Templar Assassin first. In the first phase, actually, it's something that you usually see when you see that hero picked up. It's usually a little bit later, just to avoid some of these bad counter picks, like any sort of poison damage hero, any sort of damage over time to rip through the reflection charges. So,
team ban.
what do you think the plan is actually with that early pickup?
Well, it is going to be important that they kind of manage it with good supports behind her, but I think the TA is actually an okay hero to pick up a little bit early on in this case. Generally speaking, you're worried about counter picks too much, but in the end, Fnatic will get a couple of damage over time effects to marginalize refraction, but I think the matchup will be relatively the same, and that's because TA is actually really good against Tusk and Undying. She can, she's one of those kind of dig your feet in, stand and fight core heroes where she can just get initiated on and still come out 1-for-1. Another aspect is that Tusk and Undying themselves don't really do that much multi-instance damage, since Soul Rip was actually nerfed from a point where it did an instance per soul that you rip, and instead is just one big blast of magical damage. Since then, TA is actually pretty good against Undying. If you can meld the zombies, you can just kill all of them because they disappear when a target goes invisible, and then, of course, just not really being susceptible to Tusk and Undying's particular variation of their attacks.
10 seconds remaining.
Right, that's a good point. I mean, Tusk needs some extra help if they want to make use of that burst damage that they have to offer up against the TA with refraction up and running. It's normally the damage from the snowball, then the damage from the punch if he has his ultimate, and the damage from the ice shards if TA dodges all of that. Of course, it's all of a sudden you in a rough spot, and that's not where you want to be. So yeah, we'll see how Fnatic will account for that. And with the Phantom Lancer, who he gets up a couple of illusions, can get rid of the refraction charges. It's not going to be the main focus for this PL though. Main focus for him will probably be to take the space that's been gained, maybe rotate every once in a while once he has his base items like Aquila, drums, threads, if he wants to go for that, and then try and pick up some of the slack if he wants to join team fights. And if not, well, he can just keep farming until he gets that big annoying hero that's extremely hard to deal with unless you have a bunch of right heroes. And so far, Mineski, Temple Assassin with some AoE, but not exactly reliable up against Phantom Lancer, is going to be doppelgangering around. Bounty Hunter also not exactly useful. Spirit Breaker can be useful to some degree if you manage to charge someone in the backlines, can try and lock down the Phantom Lance if you know who the right one is, but there's going to be a point in the game, at least when at least looking at a draft so far, where the Phantom Lancer should just be able to take over.
Sure. And a lot of my games over these past two picks have revolved around the hero Dazzle. It's a hero that's still in the pool and would essentially be the best support to go along with Fnatic's current three. Tusk, Undying, Phantom Lancer, Dazzle fits right in there with the heal bombs you can get from the Tusk to the PL, with their doppelgangers, their snowballs. Great sustain with Undying push. But the Spirit Breaker, I won't call him a counter to Dazzle, but he's a hero that's very unaffected by the Dazzle. He can't lose his Charge of Darkness to anything that Dazzle will throw at him. So that means that he can really start initiating hard alongside this Bounty Hunter, and they can start building momentum. So Fnatic, who almost guaranteed would have picked up the Dazzle for net here, instead opt for the Lion, which has those core lockdown components, which will allow them to catch up the Bounty Hunter easier and also prevent Spirit Breaker from connecting with 100% of his charges.
Yeah, definitely a lot of lockdown on that hero alone. Not just that, also burst damage. Magical burst damage as well that you kind of need if you want to bring down a Spirit Breaker or anyone really quickly enough before they become a problem, like or just ensure that you get quick pickoffs on like a Bounty Hunter who is scouting out before the charge that's following from the Spirit Breaker. You know, that's kind of the good combo, like a Bounty Hunter scouting out someone isolated, then Spirit Breaker charging in to help out with the kill. If you have a Lion and if you have the vision, of course, as well to help you spot out these kind of rotations, you can use that lockdown, you can use that burst damage to counterplay quickly enough. But it's actually Gigabyte Mineski now who pick up the Dazzle, as that's been left in the pool from Fnatic, and yeah, that turns around a little bit for them as well. They have the sustain, they have the Shallow Grave available to make sure that the Temple Assassin has more room to actually get a couple of crucial right clicks in.
Yeah, I mean, if you can keep TA alive long enough to get a second round of refraction off in a fight, that is huge. That just completely changes what this hero can do in a single engagement. But it's going to be pretty hard pressed. I mean, the Lion and the Tusk are going to be bursting hard with their ultimates, and Dazzle's there to try to prevent that. But at the same time, I think that Dazzle might be susceptible to that because you have to think of his economy. If, like we saw in Game 1, the tracks don't really work out the way Mineski planned them to, we could see a very poor Dazzle, a very, very poor 5-position Dazzle, and if that's the case, then he could be picked off so easily by just like a Shadow Blade on the Tusk. It really comes down to the Dazzle getting at least a little bit of gold from either pulling or track gold or something to really get him off his feet. Either that or the Bounty Hunter has to play a 5-position, which we kind of saw in game number 1 as well, and it was pretty weak.
Yeah. Kind of the...
Whoa.
I gotta tell you one thing, I love Venomancer Core. I just absolutely love it. It's so freaking annoying to deal with. It's the one solution for the Templar Assassin, so yeah, it looks like it might actually be mid, all things considered.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah,
that is the only way I think Venomancer should be run, to be honest with you. Like, there is a tiny possibility for a support Venomancer if it perfectly counters the enemy melee carries that you're up against. But in this case, I think that it is a really, really strong mid hero because of just the amount of damage they're able to deal, and the fact that Dazzle essentially can't save somebody unless they're going to TP away from the fight. And you're not really going to find it easy to TP away from Lion Tusk. So, the Shallow Grave will delay the inevitable. It's a really big aspect. This response, though, Jay actually picking up the Storm Spirit, potentially for the safe lane, knowing that there is only the Tusk to provide that lockdown. The Undying, PL, and Venomancer are not a problem unless you're talking about the mana burn, which comes with extra disables.
Definitely gonna watch out for the line, but it's, yeah, as you said, it's only the real quick and reliable lockdown that Fnatic have. I mean, anything else also can kind of dodge away from if you have enough mana. But that is remedied by even picking up a Lincoln Sphere, not even a BKB, but yeah, considering the damage over time from Venomancer, you might want to pick up that BKB anyway, just to be able to not worry about the magical damage and still be able to fight through that instead of having to walk out. So either one of these defensive items is probably going to be on the shopping list for Storm Spirit at some point. But then he can, I mean, if he has his core items like Bloodstone, if he wants to go for that, or an Orchid even, I would actually like an Orchid in this game just to be able to jump on especially squishy targets like the Venomancer, like the line, without having to fear any sort of counterplay. Just pick them off easily and snowball off of that. I would actually welcome that, but we'll see how they want to play. It's definitely not a bad hero in this situation, I think.
Now, look at the difference between what they did with the Observer Wards last game and this game. Last game, they had Jay blink all the way up to this top lane, expending almost his entire mana bar with all the blinks of the world to get up there and get the ward down. And they actually placed it with an Observer Ward already in place, and that was dewarded immediately. As soon as that was dewarded, Ohio had like 3 or 4 flanking opportunities where he could just walk behind them and start hitting people, and especially the Skywrath. Now they take a completely different tone to it. They immediately TP top, they get the ward down, and they get out. And now it's on Fnatic to kind of guess where this ward might be, and it's extremely unlikely that they'll guess there.
Right, and with that, if you're just tuning in, this is Game 2 between Fnatic and Mineski here. Best of 3 semifinals of the ESL One New York Qualifiers. My name is Dragondrop, I'm joined by Blaze, bringing you this game, and like we might see some early aggression down near the bottom. Okay, he will be spotted out by Bounty Hunter, but they might be, yeah, body block you from Ryer actually.
Oh, I missed it. That's unfortunate.
Coming in, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm not sure if they actually kill him there. Maybe just take out like 2/3 of his health, but a body block would have been a huge deal there.
Yeah. I was thinking about him maybe considering picking up the Poison Touch as well, just to slow him down. It might have been enough slow, but as it looks like... Oh wow, Fnatic getting both bounty runes as well, it looks like, unless Jesse is able to snag it.
Yeah.
No.
I don't expect Dazzle to be skilling a Poison Touch until level 8 at the earliest, honestly. He just can't afford to.
Yes, situationally, it can be good to just get the belly point early on for the slow, but if you don't get that chance, then it's kind of wasted skill point, because it's not really that effective just comes to laning, when it comes to just trying to harass out someone, and the Shallow Grave and the Shadow Wave will be more useful in the long run there, but yeah. Let's actually introduce our teams really quick before the action really starts coming into this game, starting with Mineski down on the bottom. We've got Jay on the Storm Spirit.
Uh-oh, Moshi might just die. Straight up, Orb of Venom. He's a slow-ass hero in the first place. Oh, he is going down and he knows it.
Yeah, Jesse. One last right click. That's the first blood already down the range, so yeah. Mid Venomancer, that's one weakness, right? He's a strong hero, but he's not gonna be able to survive up against that. And neutral deny will be successful for the Bounty Hunter. That'll be that. But yeah, running at the lineups real quickly, we've got Ryer on the Dazzle here, helping out in the bottom lane. We've got Cuckoo on the Templar Assassin. In the top lane, we've got Jules on that Spirit Breaker, and of course, Jesse on the Bounty Hunter, already claiming first blood. On the other side, we've got Black here, kind of battling up. Now, battling up in the top lane against both of these, and whoa, what the hell is happening down bottom?
Yeah, a big overcommitment there, up against the Storm Spirit, not even Shallow Grave required. The Shallow Grave is available, but honestly, they just manned up against a Magic Wand, and they got knocked down pretty quick. They overestimated their damage, and they got knocked down, and that's just going to help out Mineski a ton when it comes down to the progression of their safe lane.
All I wanted is to introduce the teams, and the kill's already starting here. 3 for 1 already. Of course, that kill for Fnatic was a deny as well on the Ancients. Speaking of Fnatic, we've got Mushi here. Might be in trouble again. Jesse with the slow. That's gonna be a dead Venomancer for sure. Gets the Gale off, but it's gonna eat the refractory charges. But Oh, the Curry actually gets hit by the creeps a little bit, but yeah, this middle lane not really going Mushi's way. Bottom lane looks like they might want to put on some pressure once more. Ohio and the Undying throwing out to the case. Tusk once again being played by Chrissy, and now Ohio being slowed down a little bit. But not enough mana to keep the slows going. That. And top lane black, of course, on. Oh god. Nets gets the hacks off onto Jules, so that charge will be cancelled, but I'm not quite sure if that's actually enough to save him. He eats through the trees, but more right click should do it. This is a little bit quicker, and there it is even a bash. Of course it was a bash.
See me coming, did you?
Oh, Snowball bottom though, Stormspear's going to be taking some damage and they're going to have to use the Shallow Grave this time. There's no zombies left in play, but they're actually just going offensively. Stormspear with the magic wand almost kills off the Tusk, but instead goes down to the double decay, and Ohio actually gets heal bombed by the creep wave. Perfect mana and cooldown coming up just in time for Rior, and that's going to be huge for him. In the meantime, Jesse Vash rotating, and this is interesting because it's very clear now to Jesse Vash where the sentry wards are, and he just gets to run around this kind of choke point right here perfectly and set up potentially another kill, but Mushi gets a Gale off, and the two melee, well, nearly melee heroes are going to have to back off. Oh, the side blade, jeez.
Gotta watch out for that. That is pure damage coming your way, and yeah, these sentry wards is very awkwardly placed on both sides, but can't actually, can't hit, click on both of them at the same time, but there's a small corridor. Jesse Vash is just abusing every single time to bring down Mushi very, very low, and he does end up dying to the Ancients just because there's no way for him to stick around the lane that low on health.
I mean, I think the bottom one is fine, honestly. It's just this one towards the north has to be moved over, just like to here or something like that. It's harder for the Bounty Hunter to deward, but he obviously has kind of found that angle, and now it's very difficult for Venomancer to feel confident in this lane. I mean, all he wanted to do here was spam out his Plague Wards, push out the lane, have Ring of Aquila on, and instead now he's been ganked 3 times, and that is giving a ton of... Well, actually, yeah, well, ganked 3 times, and 2 of them were successful. One of them was the neutral deny.
Ohio with it in Rusu and scouting at the movement. Raging Potato.
Oh.
So it's a little bit of experience, but now that will expire. A little bit of a tough lane for both sides, really. I mean, it's kind of hit or miss for Fnatic and Mineski down here. Again, they're gonna go on Mushi. The charge comes out as well. Gets the Gale off, but not on the Jesse. Should be dead. Venomancer teleport comes out though from the net. That's a stun only onto Jules, but Jesse Vash almost dying. He should be able to carry him back to safety. They don't get the kill that they were looking for. So Fnatic starting to... yeah, another deny coming up from Jesse. These Ancients...
This kill count is going to be so inflated, man. It's even harder and harder to tell. I guess there's 2 suicides on Mineski and 1 on Fnatic. Yeah. But it's just...
We definitely need an extra counter for that at some point. But yeah, Source 2 will fix it.
Certainly. No, I mean, this is just... I mean, that line rotation is something that I think has been needed for the past 3 minutes. And it's just... I guess they were trying to make it so that they could get a turnaround kill with it. Because that's one thing the Venomancer is really good at, is halting tower dives with the Venomous Gale. But it's just... He's been taking a little bit too much damage. He's been a little bit too slow on his feet. Again, still 285 movement speed. And it's pretty tough for him.
Possible point of contention here. Two-man decay, two-man stun as well. There's a tombstone here. Doesn't put it on the high ground. Not actually on the inaccessible cliff, but the hack comes out onto Storm Surge. Follow-up snowball here onto him. That should... Oh, the Shadow Grave comes out in time. Ryu should fall. Don't know that it's going to be enough to actually keep the Storm Sword safe. No teleport, even if he had. It would have been stunned out of it. Not quite level 6 either. It's a really tough position for that Storm and Fnatic. Get a couple of really good kills under the belt now. It gives the momentum on this bottom lane. At least for a Tusk to pick up his own level 6, ahead of the Storm Spirit even. Meanwhile, top Black is in trouble. He's being harassed out by both Jules as well as the Bounty Hunter here at the very least, but he's holding his ground. He's starting to get his items up at the very least as well.
So we're going to be seeing at this point Mineski J approaching the level 6 mark, and that's going to be when he starts really getting involved. He's on his power treads, bottle, one. The only thing he really wants for is a soul ring at this point, but he is going to start initiating, and I think the initiation is going to come on mid. We got the charge already in play. The Observer Ward did see this though, so Mushi will expect the charge, but will he expect the zip as well?
Charge will be cancelled, so they thought better of it. Of course, it's always kind of chancy to go into, which is not actually a wall of wards. She's now starting that up again near his own high ground. But yeah, those are level 4 wards already with 2 points up into the poison stings. Actually, not advisable to go into that at this point in the game, because with another rotation from something like Lion or even a Tusky who doesn't have a TP scroll, but the potential would be there to just turn around, fight, get a kill on Temple Assassin, who's been doing very well so far on mid. Of course, that can turn around quickly.
So, sorry, just to backtrack, what was the advisement on the skill build there?
Which skill build?
Well, you're talking about Mushi's skill build. I think the preservation away from the ultimate is actually the right call, because if you look at the mana pool, it's pretty weak right now. 364. The only way to really use your ultimate at level 6 or 7 is if you have an enchanted mango. At that point, you can really make it work, but otherwise, it's definitely something where you just kind of want to hold the lane.
Yeah, especially if you go for this ward build, you're always going to be spamming out these... Oh, might see an engagement down in the jungle, actually. BJ, he's going to be charged up, he's looking to bring down the
Oh no, that was a mistake.
And a punch up into the air, so...
Huge misplay.
was no life for it, though.
Yeah, we're actually going to see the TP canceled just in time by a shuriken. It was actually just lucky that actually happened, but in the end, the Spirit Breaker will connect with his charge and bring him down. And the misplay I was talking about is actually the Storm Spirit versus a Tusk. If you're being snowballed upon, what you actually want to do is ball lightning the other way. And if you ball lightning over his head, it's going to mess up the snowball's trajectory, and you're most likely going to be able to avoid getting stunned. Instead, he kind of kept on letting the snowball chase us, and that just did bode well for him. So he ends up going down, and Fnatic are getting some much kills now.
Yeah. Does kind of force it's essentially what the rest of Fnatic's lineup down on the bottom to bring down the Tusk. There's even Cuckoo there on the Temple Assassin starting to rotate down, of course, just benefiting from the jungle camps instead. To come back to the skill build on the Venomancer, there's kind of 2 ways that you can play him. One is kind of the more standard way, the Poison Sting as well as the Plague Ward max, and the value point for the slow and the Venom scale. And it's kind of the old school way to play, and there's also the other option that you have, just max out the Venom scale, max out the Poison Sting, and that's kind of builds where you don't put any points into Plague Wards at all, and that's where you actually pick up your ultimate at level 6. But out of mid position, that's not necessarily ideal unless you want to join fights early, and if you want to join team fights early. At this point, Mineski is not really grouping up as much to be able to use that ultimate to its full effectiveness, and even then, at level 1, it can be underwhelming too. So in this game, absolutely skip that ultimate in favor of the max out Poison Sting, and then pick it up at levels 10 and 11.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Now I do want to note that Jesse Vast has been leeching experience up top, and he's about to hit level 6. Getting that track online at this timing compared to the last game is just a huge difference in potential game impact. We're going to see Doppelganger most likely break the Charge of Darkness here, but it proves unnecessary as Jules will just cancel the charge, and he's actually completely out of mana at this point. So for now, we really just have to examine how fast these different heroes are farming and how different the game is going to become as a result of it. One thing to, of course, note is that Mask of Madness Phantom Lancer is actually going to be able to doppelgang away from the Storm. But to talk about Mask of Madness for a second here, it's actually not that bad of an item if you can trust your teammates to keep you alive. Well, essentially, it's, first of all, we know from 6.83 that Mask of Madness is one of the most... Oh, he actually denied the tower. That was very impressive from the TA. But as far as the Mask of Madness is one of the fastest jungling items in the game. In a PvE sense, just going straight on the creeps and no heroes at all, you are able to farm up much faster with that 100 attack speed boost than anything else.
Bot lane. Chrissy, he had the charge coming, but it was cancelled, but DJ kind of had to so bait it out. Now that put him in a tough spot. That was really, really unfortunate timing there. Jules, he cancelled the charge himself, actually, not actually willing to commit, but then the snowball was already up on his way. It's kind of a freebie there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Mask of Madness is kind of not a popular build by any means, but as you said, if you're able to keep alive, even not just in PvE, in the farming, in certain situations, it also helps you just in team fights, because you get all of your illusions out extremely quickly.
Yeah, it's usually if you're trying to clean up the team fight and you're in a confident position where you know they can't turn on you, you pop that Mask of Madness and you start just triggering all those juxtaposed. At that point, you get a ton of illusions spawning very quickly, and you can just do a lot with that. We're actually going to see TA go for the meld dodge. The dust comes out a little late, but they still might be able to get her. I mean, the tombstone's down, the hex is in play, but they don't want to dive under the tower. So we're actually going to see them refract and kill off the tombstone, and charge will be cancelled by Jules.
In the side, we'll see him. And meanwhile in the back, Mushi actually joined the fray. He is tracked up, so they know. Even if he was invis, I kind of thought he was invis for a second there, in the way that they're not actually right-clicking him, but now the charge comes out. Mushi will fall, the snowball comes in. DJ looking for a counter kill here. Net on the top of the double stun, but they don't actually have enough burst to finish them off. And Mineski cannot stop a long jump from the Raging Potato J here. They get the lockdown onto DJ with another strike as well. Then another track over here. They wow, what was that?
That's Desolator, man.
And now Jules, he gets kept alive by the Shadow Grave for a little while. She might be able to get out, yeah, with the Shadow Wave as well, keeping them safe from the creeps and all things. And yeah, 3 heroes down, a couple of Dracos within that, and that's the kind of game that you want to have if you have a bounty hunter on your team. Just take, even if you take even team fights to get ahead, if you win these team fights, if you get these kind of pickoffs, then you're much further ahead than you normally would be, and it shows. Both the Templar Assassin on top of that Dwarf Child already has a Desolator completed, working on Yasha next. Even Stormspirit kind of having a bad time down on bottom. Getting closer to, that Orchid that I was wanting out of him. Picks up this First Oblivion staff as well.
Yeah, the Orchid definitely has a lot of potential, and you were talking about it a lot there. There isn't really enough ways to avoid certain skills to really justify any other pickup at this point in time. You don't need to be tanky, because if you're disabled, you're dead, pretty much. Like, if you get chain stunned by Tusk and Lion, you're dead. So why not just build to prevent those disables in the first place, and also get a lot more mana in the process. So it's a pretty smart, very active build, and you'll probably go for the Bloodstone after the fact.
That Observer Ward just placed by Undying here, barely in range of that Radiant Sentry Ward, so gold down the drain now.
Oh, actually, it might not be. It's very, very close. I think it's just outside the range.
No, there was one right there in the Radiant side jungle. That
okay, I thought you were talking about the bottom room one there, which is like on the line.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that one.
But nevertheless, they smoke right by it. I'm going to go into the Rosh pit with the Medallion, the Meldstrike, and the Desolator. We're looking at a negative 13 armor Roshan. And he'll be going down right when Chrissy starts trying to check the pit. This is where 1 point in Frozen Sigil would be very helpful. You don't have to commit to those types of situations at all.
Good point, not going for the value point. It's almost put him on a rough spot, but it's only TA as well as the bounty hunter there, not quite willing to commit up to the high ground. They do get free Aegis after all. Now it's their turn to bring the fight to Fnatic, really, I feel like. Maybe you wait for the Yash on a TA. Or maybe the Orchid on Stone, so that's probably the 1 point that you say, alright, now let's fight, now we have the upper hand. Now
yeah, but around that time, we're going to see Mushi get a pretty good pickup too. He's actually going to be picking up the Crimson Guard, which of course is a very unorthodox pickup, not only on Venomancer, who we rarely see, but on a ranged hero in general. But this is an actually really legit pickup on ranged heroes, especially squishy ones. And in this case, he's getting it by like the 17-minute mark, which makes it all the more effective, where damage is relatively low. TA is the only one that's really hitting hard. Everybody else is going to lose majority of their auto attack damage to this Crimson Guard, and that just allows them to really push and harder and stay alive longer, and this is just going to help out across the board for the team. It's again very unorthodox, but we've seen certain supports like Skywrath Mage and other really squishy ones pick it up, and I think the timing is really strong for Mushi here.
Absolutely, and don't quite have it yet. They're still going for the
Dire's
smoke.
bottom tower is
Man
under
up
attack.
around the top, and look like they might be wanting to pick up someone from the Ancients, but Jesse Vash here undercover of Invis. Will he get caught? No, quite. That's
Wow.
a little bit too late too, so that was a wasted smoking, and now with the weave on top of them, they will have to mosey on all the way back towards their own jungle. And yeah, Ohio, that ward's being placed. They should have spotted it out if they were watching them, blocking up the Ancients there.
I believe so. They're paying pretty much right on it, so I think they'll be able to manage that appropriately. And if that's the case, they wasted 2 sentries, a dust, and a smoke, and they're still going to lose a hero.
That's it.
Oh, net 2.
Oh, net as well with the jump from the Raging Potato. And that's 2 track kills, I believe. And yeah, Mushi, if he gets off his ultimate there, maybe there's a potential for Fnatic to come back in if they had heroes in position, but
I mean,
pickups were just so quick.
yeah, I don't even think it's worth it to ult there. You're literally just doing some damage. The Dazzle will look to heal.
I'll again claim it's free tier 1 off of that as well, with the minus armor from the Desolator doing work. And yeah, Temple Assassin actually going for the Blink Dagger before finishing up the Asha. Definitely a decision that I do like. And Black, yeah, better teleport out there. Back up to the safety.
Full farming build from him. This actually might cost him quite a bit. Black has gone for a full farming build. The Mask of Menace, Yasha, BOTs, Quelling Blade, Aquila, and only now starting the Diffusal Blade. If he gets the Diffusal Blade out shortly, then it's not that bad, and he has that second Electric up, so it shouldn't be that long. It's only like 1150 out after you get 2 blades.
Gets intercepted here, caught in a rune by the Temple Assassin, and then Jay and Jesse, they both wrap around the trees.
But that's the item that makes it dangerous to go for this kind of a build. If you don't have Diffusal or Manta up, you're going to die to the Storm Spirit every single time with his Orchid. But, for example, Tusk, if he hadn't been Orchided, he could just snowball, wait 4 seconds, then go for the Blink. And that gives him a lot of distance and a lot of support next to his tier 2 tower. But just the Orchid really solidifies the ganking presence of Jay, and it means that PL needs that Diffusal Blade immediately, and he's close. He definitely is. He's got actually the whole thing, so that kind of takes that risk away because he can always use the Diffusal Blade Purge on himself and then still use the Doppelganger to disengage.
Yeah, and actually if you look at Black, I mean he's proving his reputation right now, because he's sitting at almost 11,000 gold 20 minutes in. That is a pretty good haul for any hero, especially here the Phantom Lancer. So he has more than 1 core item. The Boots of Trouble early on, the Fuel Blade, a little bit of lifesteal to keep himself safe, or keep himself topped up. And you want to bottom, there's a big fight coming out Tombstone, as well as the ultimate comes out. Plus the Crimson Guard, so Mineski don't really want to fight this Jules though. Slowed down by all the zombies, he throws up another strike. And the Shell Grab will keep him alive, but Ryer not so happy. And Stormson just dies in the backline. That was, what was that actually?
Oh, that was Dots. That was just the Poison Nova and the Poison Sting. Just taken away.
I got him though.
It did? The zombie. There was a zombie pursuing him. And this is a combo that I wanted to talk about a while ago, but we really haven't seen the Venomancer do anything until now. So finally we get to look at a little bit more at why this hero actually works for this lineup. Not just by himself, but with this lineup as a whole. And a lot of it comes down to this Undying. The Tombstone plus Venomous Gale is already very strong for extremely obvious reasons. If you know what Tombstone does, being slowed on top of it is a really bad thing. The next thing is the combination of Poison Nova and the Tombstone Zombies. The Tombstone Zombies have a passive called Deathlust, and what this passive does is increase the damage that these zombies do, as well as their speed on their target if the target is below a certain amount of health or a certain percentage of health, and that's 35% health or below 400 for your max ranked Tombstone. So what we're looking at there is the Poison Nova very quickly takes them into that danger zone where these zombies just go to town on their targets, and those will allow them to clean up opponents just as easily as a Poison Sting dot tick would. And the final thing is just the more obvious. Flesh Golem is a great amplification tool for large sources of damage, and Poison Nova is one of the most damaging spells in the game by itself, even though it proves non-fatal.
Yeah. And now they will find Black, and there's the silence coming out. He does have the fuel.
Nice stun!
Oh, nice stun though from that. Keeping it for a little bit longer. Now turnaround with the Shellgrave countering out. Stormson's still alive. They do not get the kill on Black though, with the well-timed Doppelganger almost keeping him alive. But now finally getting that kill, but Last little bit of for Storm, so it has to be committed to get himself out. Missy looking for the kills, but there's still 3 heroes around here.
Ooh.
And now he's tracked up all alone, being kited around with all the slows coming out. And Undying even dies at the river for some reason. Was that...
yeah, that was just Jules comboing him. That was just straight up him doing his basic work to finish him off. And I guess the Bounty Hunter was on top of him too, but... the important stuff there was essentially the Spearbreaker thought that Dazzle had a Shallow Grave up, and he didn't go for the Walrus Punch into the Storm. Instead, just goes for the Dazzle, who is the main threat in that situation, and actually Mushi's going to get picked off too. There are just so many kills going the way of Mineski that no matter what cool strategies Fnatic come up with their hero composition, with their item composition, it just seems like Mineski are using the map better, and they're taking advantage of every mistake Fnatic throw their way.
The worst part for Fnatic is that most of those also track kills. I mean, look at the fight recap and that one kill on the Vandermancer. There was about a 1400 gold change. 1000 going the way of Mineski's heroes. Just because of that one pickup on the Vandermancer. Now, oh, Cuckoo, they might and that would be great. Now the charge comes in, Shallow Grave comes out. Nice double stun once again from Net, and should be enough to secure the kill on the TA. Can it turn us here? Not like a big tombstone, I don't think. Now Spearbreaker has the BKB pop that you freshly picked up. Now, charges out, should be alright.
That's unfortunate. They really wanted that kill, but
yeah.
All the same, at least they get the TA, they hold the tower, and they just pop the Flesh Golem for that one. I mean, one thing I'll note is Net is just a master of two-man stuns. Like, his signature hero for a long time was Sand King, and for good reason. When he goes in for that two-man knock-up stun, he's gonna hit it. And in this case, the Earth Spike is his skill of choice, since he obviously can't go for the Burrow. He's just been really performing well this game, and although it hasn't turned around every gank that he's come to, he's been extremely consistent in what he brings to every fight, and that's something Fnatic desperately need if they're going to be able to push to the next level here. I mean, they're good. Oh, actually, they find Dazzle. Glimmer Cape will be enough to get him away.
Yeah, they're not exactly certain of what's happening behind the lines. They have this Observer Ward, but that'll immediately get counted out as well. Dazzle picking up on that.
The hidden one's
But yeah, I would definitely agree with you about Net's performance. And the best thing is that it's all without a Blink Dagger, right? Once he gets that, and he's saving up for it now. Once he gets that, he has even more tools to be able to maybe tip the balance in their favor. And that Blink Axe is a extremely good initiation tool at any point of the game. Even if it's only level 1, it's still 0.5 seconds. On someone like a Storm Spirit here, that's enough for everyone else to follow up and maybe even still bring him down. If you can get the jump, right? It's not easy to do, especially with all the vision coming up from Mineski around the river. Now, Fnatic looking to slowly but surely make their way into the Radiant side jungle. Mineski know this is happening. Walk right out of the trap, they have the wards up and running here, and they don't want to fight here. They want to at least wait for everyone to come in. Cuckoo's still up top at the moment. Making his way down. Fnatic, they have the weave on... they have the weave on them, so they at least know that Mineski's aware of what they're trying to do, especially with tracks also on now Net and DJ. But yeah, that movement was just all aimed at trying to secure the Roche Pit, as they should know that this is coming back up in a moment. She should be dropping a ward inside there in a moment, or just stay in here.
Yeah, I'm actually quite there's not a TA trap in there. Maybe there's a Sentry Ward on like the cliff here, but in general, like, you usually will have a TA trap just chilling out in that area and keeping tabs on when he's up. Or they're actually going to be able to look to engage with this charge. It's got to be on Net to counter it, and they can't.
Oh, Ohio actually being blown up by Cuckoo here before even getting Tombstone down. There's the Mushi ultimate, but that's already down. Double buyback from them as Fnatic now turns the fight around. Cuckoo will get picked off in the midst of all of that by the hands of Black, and Spearbreaker 4 TP back out. But they get 2 kills, they lose Temple Assassin though. 2 buybacks will secure this Roshan at the very least. It should.
Yeah.
Mineski not able to initiate once more.
They don't have the sigil, so it's not actually the easiest for Sean, but the double buyback, the idea behind it is to get this Aegis, and that'll give them 5 minutes of free time to kind of get back into this game, because right now they're struggling, and they know that Mineski is still going to go for pick and push, essentially, and just controlling the map. So they need this Aegis. It looks like they're going to get it. Mineski's not close enough to really get involved, and yeah, the Aegis will be going to the Phantom Lancer. So Black's got that extra life insurance, and he's going to be able to just keep farming and focus on his long-term trajectory. Because 6-slotted, this PL can pretty much fight anybody on the side of Mineski. I mean, if like a Spearbreaker goes Aghanim Scepter and the Storm Spirit is 6-slotted, then maybe they can control the PL. But for the most part, this PL is going to be the top dog in the late game.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about earlier. One stats. I mean, he has all of the utility that he needs right now. I mean, has the lifesteal and the extra attack speed from the Mask of Madness. Kind of optional, he went for it in this game. Then you still have the Mana Staff for the extra illusions. You have the Diffusal Blade, as well even the Boots of Travel. So next item that he will pick up, probably after the Aegis expires, or maybe just selling the Aquila beforehand, will be that tanky item that makes not just hard to kill the actual Phantom Lancer, but also his illusions. Be it either a Hearth or a Butterfly, I would think. Or a Skadi. Those are kind of the three big options. What do you think he actually goes for here in this game?
For his next pickup?
Yeah, for his tanky pickup. For his first
well, his tanky pickup, I think, actually comes much later. I think he can sell the Mask of Madness and turn it into Satanic, and that can be his tanky pickup. Okay. But he can either go for a Skadi or for something more like the Butterfly. I think it's a little bit late in the game to go for like SNY. You've already got the Yasha and the Manta. Yeah. So I would say either if he's going for any tanky item now, it's Skadi. Otherwise, he can just keep going for agility and farm speed, and then pick up a Satanic as his 6th slot after BOTs. Actually, has BOTs.
He's come back from Mineski.
Oh, we are picked off. This could be huge.
Well, that's why he has the Shadow Grave up. They see him even through the Glimmer Cave, and they will be able to wait that out. Kukuk joining into the fight for the BKB, but still being right-clicked down. Spread damage coming out, but oh
nice.
No! Zipping in, exposing himself to the entirety of Fnatic's lineup. A little miscommunication there from Mineski, it looks like. And that'll, yeah, that's tier 2 Dow now. No Fnatic, then probably some pressure on tier 3 as well. So also may have to buy back here, just what you want to do with that low of a timer.
Yeah, they're just going to back off in about 5 seconds here. They're just doing a little bit more damage, and they're going to need to disengage. They don't really have the tools to fight further with just the Poison Nova off cooldown. But Black's still there for the moment. He'll to Doppel, I guess, and yeah, they'll kind of reset everything. Jules is going in pretty deep here.
Yeah,
he has to BKB it.
It's another charge down. It was the 8-second charge. It's not even. It's not even that small of a deal, right? If it's a 5-second BKB, right, you don't really care at that point. But 8 seconds is still a decent time to have.
Spearbreaker still just wants the BKB to connect with his spells for the most part. I definitely agree with you. It's not irrelevant, but it's better than feeding right there, probably. So
yeah.
One thing I want to talk about real quick, and it's something that we've kind of ignored for a little while, but Chad is screaming about it. It's the Crimson Guard on the Venomancer. And to explain it a little bit further, it's essentially a poor man's mechanism. The fact is, Crimson Guard doesn't take a drop of mana to cast, and that's a really big deal for a guy that it spends 300 mana just to put his ulti, and only has 735 now that he's picked up this point booster. He actually was using Enchanted Mango, as I was mentioning as a possibility earlier. He actually used an Enchanted Mango fight to actually cast all his spells. It's just, this is an agility hero that really lacks the base intelligence needed to get everything out, and a mechanism would be impossible. But a Crimson Guard is better base stats and an almost comparable active component that'll allow him to sustain the push and get into those fights.
Yeah. I think not a whole lot wrong with that for sure. And now they looking to use the Aegis to the best abilities once more as Cuckoo is forced to meld out. Black now being charged down with Jay coming in as well. And now might be able to trigger the Aegis, but then Fnatic should be coming in and backline. Cuckoo trying to stay now out before that. DJ will fall. Mushi gets the ultimate up, and now Sonson once again, he's got between a rock and a hard place. Shellgrave will be used to keep him alive, but Cuckoo doesn't benefit from that as a result, so longs it back, and at the very least...
Oh, no buyback! No buyback!
There's no buyback on Storm, only buyback on TA. We'll have to use it, but these Drags should be down for the count regardless. There's still a charge coming out. Black will get caught in the midst of that, but BKB comes out onto Jules, and now he has to walk away. Black doesn't have his Aegis anymore, but is still feeling very comfortable because there's not a lot left on Mineski to fight up against him, especially with that Storm Spirit down. Yeah, that's a full set of racks.
Yeah, I really thought the Mineski had pulled it through by getting past the difficulty they found in the early game in Game 1. They found a way to make the Bounty Hunter ganks work, they were finding good initiations, they had a tremendous kill lead, but in the end it just comes down to Fnatic having a really strong sense of teamwork. Like, they know how to run a 5-man gambit. They are able to work together as a team and make some amazing things happen, and this Venomancer is really the linchpin of it, because he's like, even if they just got a 2-man Nova in the fight, but it was on the 2 core heroes they wanted to kill, the Storm Spirit and the TA. As a result, they got a lot out of that fight and take the racks. It's just, those kind of opportunities don't come if you're not willing to take them. But Fnatic has really gotten involved. They've gotten very direct in their engagements, and they've done some amazing work. Now we're actually going to see a smoke on smoke, and I'm curious who actually gets the jump first.
There's no poison over this time, down for 20 more seconds. So yeah, if Mineski can get the jump on some of these crucial heroes, like the Phantom Lancer, who's of course hard to bring down at this point. That's kind of the problem. He has that Skadi, and now almost has that Butterfly as well. Already had quarterstaff in his inventory. Well, your quarterstaff, I guess, but yeah, who jumps on who? That's gonna be the question. Cuckoo under the cover of Melt on the sidelines here, waiting for someone to pass by closely. There's a charge coming out. Stormspit zipping in the back here, looking for the line, will pick up net, and now, yeah, Mushi pops his ultimate on pretty much everyone here. Stormspit already forced out. Black is still alive and kicking. More targets, looking for kills. They will only keep the Spirit Breaker for the time being. They lose both Venomancer as well, the line for it. Is that enough?
I mean, it's a step in the right direction. It's definitely the engagement they were hoping to get out of that for sure. But I can't say it bails them out in any real way. I mean, the TA is now down to a 7-second BKB, and it's worth going back to a change that happened a few patches back where Poison Nova actually afflicts the targets that are immune to it. So essentially what that means is they will receive the debuff, and it will start doing damage as soon as their BKB wears off. And that, it used to be just completely ignores the BKB hero, but now it's going to be, let's say, TA pops her BKB, fights for 3 seconds, then gets hit by the Poison Nova. 4 seconds later, that Poison Nova is doing that full Aghanim Scepter damage for its 10-second remainder. Yep. And that's just going to be able to destroy her health pool.
That is not. Basically, as soon as that Poison Nova comes out, you have to think about retreating. Even with the Dazzle, I mean, we saw it time and time again. That Shadowgrave, sure, it can keep it alive a little bit longer, but you have to use all the time to get out of dodge and not take any further damage, to maybe even having to teleport.
Wow, Black! The procs on that Doppelganger were absolutely insane. The Juxtapose, he didn't cast anything with Spirit Lance, charges up to him, and kills Spirit Breaker before he can even get a TP out. The amount of triggers that he got on his ultimate there were insane.
We catch that, unfortunately, but yeah, that'll give them some momentum down in the bottom lane. Black, he has no fear at all. Why should he? There's not a whole lot they can do up against him now. I mean, even if he gets silence, he just manages out of it, and anything else he can doppelganger off, and they're very comfortable just keeping him here in the front lines. Banging illusions, breaking down Max and Mineski, especially with the Spirit Breaker, that's the one sort of soft counter to be able to charge on someone on the back, kind of give them a little bit of a momentary respite here, and just being able to knock all of the illusions at once. But it's very limited utility that you have up against the zombie.
She's gonna get charged on here. Might actually be a decision. He's gonna survive just long enough to get the Nova off. We'll see how much damage it can do.
Yeah, there it is, Cuckoo. Top lane. Into the fight here. Get Shellgraved up, but he will still fall. He will still get the Undying, but at what cost at this point? He doesn't have a buyback here. Spirit Breaker also falls to Black. Meanwhile, on the back, we've got Stormspit coming up against Mush, losing
Oh, unfortunately.
How often do you see that? And that's 3 heroes down. There's buyback available on Storm. He'll have to use it immediately. Try and battle up against this, but this...
Oh, the long zip gets moved! Bullseye! That was really, really skillfully done. Though there was no Radiant Vision there, so it was just... I mean, maybe it's tracked. I actually didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, it was still a good prediction in terms of movement, and it was a hell of a zip. But all the same, the cost him buyback. It's 60% gold penalty, and Black, he got to do whatever the hell he wanted in that fight. He ended up actually being the gatekeeper. He stood outside the base, and everybody that was limping away from the fight due to being hit by the Poison Nova, he just like 2 or 3 shot them. And there's another one. That is a bot backstorm backing, and it is certainly not worth.
I don't know what made him think that he could go for Black, but maybe they already resigned. Yeah, they're calling GG now, and it's, as we said, that Phantom are getting up to a point where no one can stop them. Mineski did not have the late game heroes to deal with that, and yeah, they called it GG. Fnatic claims the series with a 2-0 victory, moving on to the finals to battle up against MVP Phoenix for a spot at ESL One New York. Yeah, Blaze, last words for the series for this game?
Well, this time around, I think Mineski gave it a better shot. They really had some good momentum behind them, and I liked how they moved on the map a lot better. They were able to really control key points, find opportunities to pick off targets, and just really read what Fnatic